It started with whispers. A blurry photo here, a suspicious headline there. But within days, the whispers turned into a storm. Jamie Dornan seen dining with mysterious woman in London. Dakota Johnson and Jamie reunite for secret project. Sparks fly again. Amelia Warner leaves home amid growing tension. Every tabloid, every gossip page, every entertainment feed was ablaze with the same story. Jamie Dornan was caught in another web of rumored affairs. At first, Amelia Warner said nothing. She had lived with headlines like these for years. Since 50 Shades turned Jamie into an international heartthrob, his every move had been scrutinized, exaggerated, twisted. She had learned to stay quiet, to keep her dignity while the world invented stories about her husband and the women around him. But this time, it was different. The rumors weren't fading, they were multiplying. A fan photo of Jamie talking to a co-star outside a hotel was turned into proof of an affair. An old clip of him laughing with Dakota Johnson was recirculated as flirtation. Even a behind-the-scenes video from a film set became fuel for wild accusations. Social media tore through the details, dissecting every facial expression, every quote, every movement. "He's not wearing his wedding ring again," one tweet said. "Amelia hasn't posted about him in months. Something's wrong." Behind closed doors, Amelia watched it unfold in silence. Friends urged her to make a statement, but she refused. She had always believed that truth didn't need to shout. Yet, the more she stayed quiet, the worse it got. By the third week, headlines grew harsher. Amelia Warner can no longer ignore Jamie Dornan's affairs. Sources claim Dakota Johnson is the real reason behind their marriage trouble. Her phone buzzed non-stop. Strangers sent her messages, some pitying, others cruel. "You deserve better. He'll never change. Why are you still protecting him?" Then came the final blow. An online tabloid published a so-called exclusive, claiming Amelia had moved out of their family home. The article was a lie, but the damage was real. Her children saw her crying for the first time in years. That was the moment she broke. At 10:37 p.m. that night, Amelia opened her Twitter account, something she hadn't used in months, and typed 3 words. "Stop the lies." No explanation, no hashtags, just that. Within minutes, the post exploded across the internet. In less than an hour, it had over 500,000 likes and thousands of retweets. Fans couldn't believe it. Amelia Warner, the quiet, graceful woman who had always chosen silence, had finally spoken. Entertainment outlets scrambled to cover the story. Amelia Warner breaks her silence. Jamie Dornan's wife responds to affair rumors. Screenshots of her tweet went viral, translated into every major language. The world wanted answers. The next morning, paparazzi surrounded her London home. Reporters shouted questions. "Amelia, are you and Jamie separated? Did you mean Dakota when you said lies? Are the rumors true?" She didn't answer. Dressed simply in jeans and a gray coat, she looked straight ahead, calm but visibly shaken. Inside, her heart was pounding, but her mind was clear. She had reached her limit. That same evening, Amelia appeared at a small charity event she had agreed to attend weeks before. Cameras followed her every move. She gave her speech gracefully, but when the host asked about her tweet afterward, she didn't dodge the question. Her voice was calm but firm. "I stayed silent for too long," she said. "People think silence means guilt. It doesn't. It means you're trying to protect your peace, until people mistake it for weakness." The room fell silent. She continued, eyes steady. "There have been so many lies. About my marriage, about people Jamie works with, about women who've been dragged into stories they don't deserve. I'm tired of seeing good people hurt by rumors." It wasn't anger that filled her voice, it was exhaustion, the kind that comes from carrying too much for too long. Meanwhile, online, reactions exploded. Fans flooded social media with messages of support. "Finally, Amelia speaks. She deserves peace. We owe her an apology." But there were others who twisted her words, claiming that by saying, "Stop the lies," Amelia was indirectly confirming something had happened. The tabloids ran with it again, trying to keep the fire alive. Still, Amelia didn't back down. In a private conversation with a friend later that night, she said, "They can say whatever they want. The truth always survives." And somewhere across the city, Jamie Dornan was watching everything unfold. Friends said he looked broken, sitting in silence, staring at the headline that bore his wife's words. "Stop the lies." He knew it wasn't just a tweet. It was a warning, a line in the sand, a moment that would force him to face the truth, not the rumors, not the gossip, but the impact of everything that fame and silence had cost them. "She didn't post that to defend me," Jamie told a friend quietly that night. "She posted it because she's had enough." And though the world didn't know it yet, Amelia's statement was only the beginning. The real truth, and what she revealed next, would shock everyone who thought they understood the story. The world waited for her next move. After that explosive tweet, "Stop the lies," speculation reached fever pitch. Tabloids claimed Amelia Warner was preparing to file for divorce, while others insisted she was secretly meeting Dakota Johnson to settle things once and for all. Every headline twisted her silence into something scandalous. But 3 days later, Amelia ended the guessing. She agreed to appear in an exclusive sit-down interview for a British magazine, her first time addressing the rumors directly in over a decade of marriage. When she walked into the studio, dressed simply in black, there was no trace of Hollywood gloss. She looked tired, but strong. The interviewer began gently. "Amelia, the world was shocked by your tweet. Can you tell us what pushed you to speak out now?" Amelia took a deep breath. "Because I'm done watching people build stories out of lies," she said softly. "Every few months, there's a new woman, a new rumor, a new reason for people to question my marriage. And it hurts, not because it's true, but because it never ends." Her words were calm, deliberate. There was no anger, no bitterness. Just the quiet exhaustion of a woman who had been living under the weight of other people's imagination. The interviewer pressed further. "Was the tweet directed at anyone in particular?" Amelia shook her head. "No, it wasn't for one person. It was for everyone who profits from this cycle, the tabloids, the gossip sites, the so-called sources close to us. They invent pain to sell stories. And people forget that behind those headlines are real families, real children." Her voice wavered slightly at that last word, children. When asked about the ongoing rumors surrounding Jamie and Dakota Johnson, Amelia finally addressed it directly. "Dakota and I are not enemies," she said firmly. "People love to turn women against each other, especially when a man is involved. But that's not the truth. Dakota has always been respectful, of me, of our marriage, of our family. She and Jamie share something professional, yes, but also a deep friendship. And I'm not threatened by that." The interviewer looked surprised. "So, you're saying there's no truth to the affair rumors?" Amelia gave a faint smile. "If there was, I wouldn't be sitting here. I would have walked away long ago. But the world forgets that loyalty isn't loud. Love doesn't always need to prove itself online." For a moment, the room was completely silent. It wasn't the response people expected, it was better. Later in the interview, she spoke about Jamie himself, her tone softening. "Jamie isn't perfect, none of us are, but I know the man he is. He's devoted to his work, to our girls, and yes, to me. Fame hasn't been easy on him. It's strange. You think you're living your dream, and then suddenly everyone feels entitled to dissect it." She paused, then added quietly, "But we've survived worse. We always find our way back." The interviewer asked if Jamie had seen her tweet before it went live. Amelia shook her head. "No, I didn't tell him. It wasn't about him. It was about reclaiming my voice. For years, I thought silence was dignity. But sometimes, silence becomes permission for people to rewrite your life. And I couldn't allow that anymore." When the interview aired, it was unlike anything fans had expected. There were no dramatic accusations, no tears, just truth, spoken with grace. Within hours, the internet shifted. Hashtags like #RespectAmelia and #TruthOverRumors began trending. Even celebrities reposted clips from the interview, calling her a masterclass in strength and composure. Jamie himself broke his silence the following morning. He posted a single photo on Instagram, their hands intertwined, wedding bands visible, with the caption, "I'm proud of you, always." That post alone silenced more noise than 1,000 denials ever could. Even Dakota reacted, writing on her Instagram story, "Amelia is grace. People forget that respect still exists in this world. I admire her endlessly." The press had nothing left to twist. For once, the truth stood unshakable. Days later, Amelia was spotted out with Jamie and their daughters, walking through Hyde Park. Paparazzi photos showed them laughing together. No tension, no distance. Just a family, real and ordinary beneath the headlines. In a quiet moment after the storm had settled, Amelia wrote a note in her private journal, later shared in an essay. "I used to think that love meant protecting someone from the world. But sometimes, love means standing up and saying enough, not for them, but for yourself. The lies don't define us. The truth does." The essay went viral overnight, translated into over 20 languages, and cited as one of the most powerful personal reflections on fame and privacy. Jamie Dornan, in a later interview, said softly, "She's stronger than anyone gives her credit for. She didn't just defend me, she defended our life." And with that, the noise finally faded. Amelia Warner had not only protected her family, she had rewritten the narrative. No longer the silent wife in the background, she became something much louder. The woman who reminded the world that truth doesn't scream, it endures.